Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. I am absolutely thrilled. I've been looking forward to this one since, probably about a month ago since we first spoke. But Ernst from Banqora, it's wonderful to have you in the office.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much for coming in. So listen, tell me a little bit about the business and your background. I've been privileged to hear a little bit about it so far. We were introduced by Gavin Marcus, a good mutual friend of both of ours, also been on the show before. He's raved about you. Having spoken to you, spent a bit of time with you subsequently, I can see why. You're in possibly the most exciting space within the sector at the moment. We've got lots and lots to talk about, but before we do that, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the company.
Yes, I'm Ernst Dolce, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of Banqora. And Banqora, we built Banqora with the 12 financial institutions to generate money. First, we are in finance, reduce their costs, and also increase efficiency for their middle and back office. That's the passion behind.
And then tell us about your journey that got to there as well, because that's an interesting.
It's a long journey. You will not see it, but started more than 20 years ago.
You're looking well on that.
So yeah, I started as a quant on a trading desk for fixed income. So like a geek, like doing all those models. And after that, I moved to become a risk manager. I enjoy it. At one point, it was not really enjoyable because it was more like monitoring things and not really be on the other side. So I moved to be on the other side to become a structurer and after head of structuring. So it was more exciting because I was building business, creating solutions and selling to clients. So I love that part.
Yeah.
And after I became the head of a large book of 300 billion of assets, managing securities financing. So I was the head of trading for repo, securities lending, and building solutions, something that I really love.
So quite a career before all of this.
Yes.
And then tell us the motivation then to move from a corporate career, I think you could probably say, to then launching a startup in this sort of space.
I will say first, it was a huge frustration because like when I became the head of trading, I had that issue where I was managing a large book of repo and securities lending, and I'm looking at the solution that we are trying to put in place for our clients that were banks, asset managers, and hedge funds. And the issue was like, for example, corporate actions. When you have the corporate actions, we have to check and recall assets, and it was always an issue that we have to pay attention to. And a lot of operational, I will say, part of the process, middle back office, one was costly. They were costing us money and slow. And I don't like things that are very slow. So
yeah.
So I decided it was time to do something. And I was quite lucky because my co-founder, Nicholas Holden, let's say Dr. Nicholas Holden, and we spent from 2018 until 2022, we spent 3 years discussing about how we can change that because we really wanted to generate more money and also reduce the costs. And we have like very brilliant people working with us, and they were doing operations tasks that we didn't understand why. They were painful, they were repetitive.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to change that. And also we have the time zone because we had like follow the sun. So we had like clients in US, clients in Asia, and in Europe. And so if your infrastructure is not solid enough, you're missing opportunities.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, that's when you started talking about that back in 2018. This is now, we're fast forwarding on a few years. It took you a couple of years to get to the sort of stage to launch it. But you showed me something before we came on air, which is a fascinating little letter you sent to yourself, an email you sent to yourself on your phone. So I can vouch that it's actually been there. I've seen it. It's not just a nice little decoy. But you sent a letter to yourself saying you were going to move into this AI and launch something in AI over the next sort of 10 years, which I think is probably ahead of the game for what we've seen. What was it? Probably 23 that we really saw the major sort of everyone jumping onto the AI bandwagon. You were there a couple of years before that, but it took a couple of years to get yourself into the position to say, right, what are we actually going to go into? So tell me a little bit about that thought process.
Yeah, the way that I come across, it's like in 2017 Christmas, so I moved to US, I was visiting family, and I was discussing with friends, and we were talking just about AI, and And I'm saying, no, there is something that I need to. So I start digging in what's going on, and I start doing analysis, saying to myself, okay, we are in finance, so this thing is going to move data, create speed, but also create like data insight. And in finance, you need data insight to take decision. So I said this thing will be bigger than, for example, blockchain. I'm not trying to put them on the same level. What I'm saying that when you are sitting on data infrastructure and take decision, if you're trying to use like, let's say that you want to remove your current middle office by a blockchain process, you still have your counterparties that will still be sitting on the old infrastructure. So it's not going to move everyone at the same speed or create what we call the network effect, where AI, it's on layer on top of everything. So the speed is there. So I wrote a letter to myself and I said, this is where I want to be. 1st January 2018, yeah.
And now we sit there a little after and we've gone on that journey, which we'll come on to again in a second. So it's all based around the premise of the infrastructure of capital markets going through a massive shift. And I think that's probably fair to say, isn't it? We're seeing a big change in the world and a big opportunity within that. Data's at the heart of that. AI then follows afterwards, and there's all sorts of conversations which we can have around, the significance of decent data underneath it, which allows the AI to really come into it all. So, tell me where you saw the opportunity. You mentioned this sort of 3 or 4 years of talking about how it could come through. What was the eureka moment you said, right, this is what we're going, this is the problem, this is what we're trying to solve?
A bill. A bill, because like when you're running a trading team, so you look at the cost income, you look at the cost of the infrastructure, and you look at the pain. And so I had always that frustration. I was looking at the cost income. It was 12%, but 90% of that 12% was infrastructure. So, and also this frustration of using 7, 8 tools to do a transaction on repo and securities lending. I said to myself, there is a better way to do that. Think about it. Every day, I was receiving, only me, I'm not even talking about the rest of my team, 200 to 300 emails. Plus, I had like 50 counterparties where I open a Bloomberg chat and I have to communicate with my team, and we're monitoring those transactions. And those transactions, they are very important. We are talking about billions of assets, billions of transactions. You're giving liquidity to the market. We are looking for liquidity for our clients. So at that point, so if you imagine that if you make a mistake, it's costly. It can cost you your job. But also, you miss opportunities. So at that point, we said, okay, we need to look at it. And I saw the bill of all the tools that we were paying. And I said, no, there's a better way to do that. So so that was the trigger for me. It's a bill.
And so that then prompted, right, let's look at this, let's see what we can do better. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you saw that opportunity and what it looks like and how it solves that problem for people your predecessors.
Yes. So the way that I saw the opportunity is at one point we built an Excel file. Yeah. And from the Excel file, we saw that we start putting connecting that Excel file with other tools, data, and we were making more revenue. We were increasing the revenue, we doubled the revenue each year. So I said, okay, if we can do that by plugging an Excel file, we can do better with AI. So we start looking at how to do that, and I was quite lucky. So my co-founder, Dr. Nicolas, that Holden, that part of the team, we met at AXA. It's my co-founder. So we said, okay, let's look at, if we are looking at, if you have a client, you need to see how you can scale the business, but you cannot scale the business if you're still operating in a yesterday infrastructure. So we said, okay, we need to make sure the infrastructure is robust enough, because transaction is about trust. If you want to put high volume, the system should not break. So we start by looking at the infrastructure, middle and back office. And for example, one thing that's very important, we look at one stat. It's amazing to see that stat. Sorry, it's painful. It's like each year, in average, the market is losing 100 billion in settlement failures.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
100 billion. So think about it. Now the market is going to move from 48 hours, what we call the T+2, to 1 day, so T+1. So if you are losing so much money and you remain in the same infrastructure, you're up for disaster.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that triggered. We said, okay, we have to move. Just to give you an example, US market moved from T+2 to T+1 last year.
Yeah.
And the estimation is like about 30 billion loss.
Is that right?
In terms of impact, yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? And you know,
Europe is coming. Europe is coming.
And we're not too far off that as well. And I think everyone's going to be, so, you know, whilst there's the lessons from the US, what we know that companies aren't particularly good at is learning the lessons from what's come before
and
us.
doing things last minute with yourself also. You need to accelerate and take into account that you're not going to overnight change that.
Yeah.
Because the T+2 is 48 hours. So now if you have one day, that means you're probably losing 70 to 90% of the time that you were using to clear that transaction. You don't have it anymore. So you have to push.
Going into stats, and you've got some amazing stats that you're able to just reel off for me. But you talked to me a little bit about some of the, you mentioned a bill earlier on, but the asset management world is I think over probably the last 20 years has lagged behind other areas a little bit in its investment into tech and its innovation within tech. I feel like we're just starting to see some movement in that. A lot of it being driven by what you've been talking about as well. But give me some of those stats again about what you just said about where the investment and spend goes into the asset management space.
It's mind-blowing to see 80% of the budget, the technology budget of an asset manager, go to maintain old tool.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? If you ask yourself that, and you are a leader of an asset manager, you should say to yourself, okay, I'm spending 80% of any tech budget on maintaining old tools that will not help me to have any competitive edge. That's already an issue. But at the same time, you're having pressure on your profit, on your margin, because last 10 years, you have your fee that went down by 30% in Europe. In UK, it was quite brutal.
Yeah.
And so you have that issue. So
plus other costs as well, staff,
staff, cost income, everything went up. And also you have the pressure coming from the passive fund, the ETF.
Yeah.
So you have your clients that are quite demanding. They want to come in and out of the fund. So ETF, passive investment. You have all the costs coming from technology. Now you have to invest, and your profit margin is going down. So you have to innovate. And I think that buy side, they don't. If you're a leader of a buy side now, you have a very simple choice. You can say that I'm going to take that seriously and move in the right direction, leverage on technology, retrain my team to make sure that things progress, or you can say that you think that you're strong enough, so you'll be left behind. So for me, there is no in between. So if you're not making the money, or you will get acquired, that can be also a solution.
Yeah. I've seen had a lot of conversations this year about a sort of democratization of the industry, where we're seeing smaller players being able to compete with larger players due to investment in technology. But we're also seeing this sort of reluctance and probably arrogance in some instances, where there's still this sort of, we're all right, this is how we've always done it, et cetera, and we'll add on a couple of bells and whistles here and here. I've often thought that the adoption of new technology, and particularly when you've got those legacy tools, those big legacy, costly sort of things in place, they can be quite difficult, can be quite sticky in an organisation to remove. So when you're coming in here talking about, with the sort of thing there of adapt or be overtaken, or here's your competitive advantage. I imagine there's a little bit of friction and resistance still within that, where people are saying, this is how we've always done it and we can't get out of this, or we're stuck with this, or this is so important to it. Or what's the general consensus around all of that at the moment?
I totally agree. Adoption is up, so 70% in UK, and we think that by end of next year it will be 80%.
Yeah.
Adoption, but the adoption, it's you can adopt a behavior but not being very disciplined. That's the issue that you have. So AI is a tool, and we need to explain that when we are talking to our client, we are saying that your domain expertise has huge value. What we want to help you, we don't want to change anything that creates value in your company. What we want to remove is all those operational manual tasks that where you can use the team to reallocate the people that's working in the company. And I can tell you that I was managing team, and I had team that were supporting the trading activity in my previous life. And what you want to see is those people with their skill set, they can help you to generate more revenue and scale your business.
Yeah.
But they need to be doing things that are interesting. Reading a spreadsheet, chasing like a collateral, I'm not sure that changes anything in your life. If the machine can do it, let the machine do it and leverage with your client.
Yeah.
That's where we are pushing.
And you're seeing people become more and more adaptive to that sort of mentality as well, right?
Yes, so there is a shift, and I will say where I see the shift is like you have big players that are big US banks that are quite disciplined and aggressive on going after the AI. And you have like, you still have the regional banks that are, and the buy side that quite slow, to be honest. But there is something that's very important. I think like the small and the medium, they have a huge opportunity to challenge the big player.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think about it, before, you will tell me, Ernst, I'm bigger than you, the size of asset I have this economy of scale, I'm going to do whatever I want. Now with AI, it's like you can leverage the power of that and compete on some niche market or compete against that or pick a niche that where the big player cannot compete. You don't have to compete because sometimes also you have, I'm looking at some loans, for example, it's not profitable for the big players to go to that range. So if you're a small, medium, before you were not going after it because it was costly for you, you didn't have like the people first on the technology. Now you have no excuse. You have both. You can use that and go and grab that market.
And I know you sort of touched about the whole concept of this isn't about replacing humans, this is about augmenting them and moving them further forward. Some of the other things that we're still struggling to myth bust around the whole AI piece is people have it on their agenda, but whether they fully commit to it and work out whether this is what they actually need it for, or whether they want to have it to say they're working with AI, etc. But usually it's about a lack of investment underneath that in the data, and this is something I know you're pretty passionate about as well, right? What's your view of how that's sort of set up?
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because like, if we are looking about finance and we want to make it very simple, finance is data, infrastructure or tools, and decision on top.
Yeah.
If you don't have good data, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's the starting point. And the investment should start there. Your data, if it's clean, you have a competitive advantage. You can read that information. So, and with the better tool, you can take decision faster. So you can go faster than me at that point. So it's where people need to invest. What we saw, it's like some players are behind the curve, really behind the curve, because they don't see they commit, I will say in survey to say, yeah, we're going to commit on the AI part, but in practice, the investment are not there because they're still investing, or they're struggling to define the use cases that will be important. So there was like a survey from Bank of England and FCA in November last year, and it was quite a surprise to see like 60% of the people from the survey, companies from the survey, they were saying that they stopped because they didn't see the value of of what they were doing with the AI. So that is a very important point. If there is something I can share we saw with clients, it's first, before you said you're going to do AI whatsoever, look at the pain point that you have, look where you will have the largest return on investment, and spend time there. Define that use case and invest there. Don't go for everything. Going for everything will not solve anything. You will spend a lot of money and you will have a conversation with your CFO. You better look at the use case that where you will have an impact.
And I think this is what's quite interesting about what we said again before coming out on air, where you talked about you're not selling an AI solution, you're selling solutions to problems.
Yes.
And when actually people are thinking about that, you're exactly right, isn't it? It's like there'll be a mandate there's this sort of global arms race to say we need to be the forefront of AI. AI is going to be the future of our business. AI is going to increase productivity. It's going to improve efficiency. We need to get into it. And there isn't a streamlined version of it all. But to me, it's that eating the elephant one bite at a time that seems to be the best way of taking this further forward. And that's effectively where you're.
Yeah, definitely, because if you don't know where you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
That's very simple.
Yeah.
So you need to target the use case that where internally you will create the impact for the company.
Talking about where you're going, that's obviously a part of your journey. So just over a year into the business now, which we say a big change from where you've been before. What a year! You're doing very well on it. You're still smiling. You're looking like you're 15. We're all good. Tell me a little bit about how that journey's been and the sort of growth and success of the business to date.
Yeah, the journey was first obviously.
Did you have it funded, or was it?
Yes. Yes. So we get funded. So we had like VC. So in our cap table. Yeah. So we have a VC, private equity, and angel investor. But all the angel, we don't have mom and pop money. So my parents didn't want to invest. No, it's not the case. It's just like we decided where we were setting up the company. We didn't want any like mom and pop and family love money, what we call that in our business. We wanted professional that understood the problem that we are dealing with. So we choose to target just. We have a lot of CEO, CFO of hedge fund banks and asset managers in our cap table, and also we have VC and private equity in our cap table. So
good mix.
Yeah, institutional.
And how's that been? That's worked well.
Yeah, that's worked well. First it was so it's I will say I understood that part because I was a banker before. So that was okay. And after that, I will say the big part when you're setting up a company is to build a team. Yeah. And okay, I'm going to tell you something. And we always smile with my co-founder. When we started the company, you know, when you work in a big company, you have this thing saying that is people, process, product, okay? And when you're setting up a company from scratch, people is really important, and it's where you have to select the best from the best team to be able to deliver, and after build a product. Yeah, the journey has been really cool.
And how did that come about for you? So you're there and you know that people are the central part of your success moving further forward. You and your co-founder had this vision, this dream, this thought. You knew the right sort of stage to start. You knew where you were going. What did the right people look like for you at that stage?
The right people is someone that can deliver. Yeah. Because a startup, you have limited resources, limited budget. So you focus on one thing, the product, and also on implementation. You cannot do everything. You cannot be everything. Yeah. So you need to have the best people that can lift the company. So that's your target should be like, my first job is to find the best people to move the company. That's the first thing. Yeah. And after that, you need to understand your client. Without client, you're going nowhere. So you need to understand your client. You need to speak the same language. So the people that you are bringing at the beginning, they will be the ambassador of the company to recruit other people. So you need them to be able to communicate, to understand. If you are talking to an hedge fund, like a trader, you need to be able to understand what he's telling about his strategy. So the same thing when you are discussing with the middle office and back office teams. You need to understand what they are saying. So domain expertise is key. And after that, I said to my team, and it's something, we need to have fun, because if you are coming to the office, you need to have fun, because otherwise it's not enjoyable.
And what does that look like to you? Because I mentioned beforehand, we're doing a lot of work at the moment about the top 1% workplace awards, and I see the sort of blueprint of what a great place looks like. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of thought process that goes into creating the right sort of challenge, the right sort of training, the right sort of mentorship. Fun's something which I think over the last couple of years hasn't been on the menu quite as much as it was before. If I think back to when we started the awards in 2018, a lot of people were thinking about how we can make ourselves stand out by that fun aspect. It's come off the menu a little bit recently. I certainly think it's fundamental to an organisation and a culture and all that sort of thing. So what does fun look like to you and the team?
So fun, it's for example something that we do. We spend a lot of time not talking about work. Where, for example, we have dinner together, we travel together. We do things outside of the job where we don't talk about the job. We try to make sure that I know you, you know me better. It's the best way to work, but also we try to do things like to have a target together. For example, like we plan that we will travel to visit a place where we'll have to work for like a day. You will not commit on something like this if it's not important for you. And if you don't like me, you're not going to spend 24 hours working with me. That's not fun. So that's very important. And also there is something in part of the fun is the trust.
Yeah.
Because like if I trust you, I can do more things with you outside of the work. So it's very important. So with the team, what we said, because there are the discussion, should I work from the office or outside of the office? What we say to people, look, we're building something that's very important. The clients, they have a very limited bandwidth, so we have to deliver. But we said, okay, we need to push together, but that's also you are in charge of your timing, so you need to manage it better.
So treat people like grown-ups and create those opportunities for people to be together and mix it. So you've got this great team together. You've got an answer. You're sort of providing problems to an area there where there's a massive need and an opportunity within it. Talk to us about where you are at the moment.
Meet the market. Meet the market. So that's the best part of it. So meet the market and get slapped by the market saying that, okay, I like it, but that part I don't like it, I don't like it. Or client feedback, it's very important. We'll see the part that's very interesting when you are doing it is the number of no's that you can receive in a day. So I'm giving you an example. At one point in January, I received 50 no's in one day. And at 7 p.m., I had a customer that would to me to say no. The 51 was really painful. The first 50 I was saying, I can make it. But the 51, it was too much. It was really too much. So that day, I used a motorbike to come to the office. That day I walked from the office home 45 minutes because I wanted to clear my mind because it was painful because we thought that we had a good idea about what that client wanted because we spent a lot of time with that client and we failed. Something that people refuse to say. And I can tell you because we receive a lot of slap. You will fail. When you are building a company, you fail a lot because the client, even if you think that you have the right product, you're solving their problem, they know their problem better than you. So you need to be ready for them to say no. What you think is good for me is not good enough and it's average. And you have to go back to the whiteboard and to redo it. And it's painful because when the client said to you, you have to go back to the whiteboard, that means you're not striking that contract. So that means you delay striking the contract. So for me, that's first part of the adventure. It was the nose. So we accept it and we get better and the team get better. So now to give you the magnitude, before when we were pitching or we are setting up a bespoke solution for some clients with the model that we are doing and the application, because of the technology, the phase that we are in the technology, let's say in September last year, it will take you like serious 1 month to really figure out what the solution. Now in 1 week, and for some clients in 2 days, we know exactly what we're going to get out from the product. So that means it's expertise, but also the technology accelerates everything. So that's the best part of it.
I think that's such an important aspect, isn't it? To make sure you're taking that feedback and
that's
onboarding it and improving and moving it through. And so that leads you to where the next phase is for you.
Yes.
What's exciting about the future?
Repeat. So the discipline with clients is like you need to be good every day. So there is no day off. So it's repeat the success the early success that we have. Because product market fit is something very important for us and for our investors also. And more important, the client, if you want them to stay after the 1 year contract, you want them to come back or increase that to 3 years contract, you have to perform every day. So for us, it's discipline and repeat.
And this journey for you, that, as we said, started when you were there in 2018, you're typing that message to yourself, and then you're sat there at AXA and thinking, right, there's got to be something more and something better for it all. If you were to go back to that person in 2018 and give them one bit of advice, and then we think about how many people are just having that sort of brain tick at the moment, it might be the next idea behind AI, it might be something else behind there. What's your advice going to be to
I will say first, don't beat yourself. It's hard to take decision and to live a fat salary because you get really well paid in all those big corporations, and also you have this collective intelligence around you. When you're working in a large company, you have a lot of colleagues that are very intelligent that can help you to achieve your goal. When you're outside, when you want to go outside of that structure, it's normal to be scared about the change, you know. Human scare anything that's new can scare some humans. So it's part of the goal. So what I will say to myself at that point is like, whew. yeah. Because like whatever you think the journey will be, it will not be. So it will not, because the challenges that you will encounter, because you're going to learn a lot of things that's different. So it's going to be more difficult. When I was in my previous company, I was head of trading, but I was not in charge of HR. I was not in charge of compliance. I was not in charge of security, cyber security, and so on. So when you're in a small structure,
it's a lot of skill sets you're picking up.
You need to bring people that will add that skill set. But ultimately, me and my co-founder, Nicolas Holden, if we have to not sleep for a couple of days to think about how we make things stronger and better each time.
And having that sort of ability to step out and to be looking further forward as well, I think is a really important part of that.
Yes. So also, I will say the mental health is important. Something that you cannot go. It's impossible. So you need to have the right, I will say, support function. If you don't have the right friends, family around you, maybe you should not go and build a company. First, make sure that the infrastructure, the personal infrastructure that you have around you, it's really good. Make sure that you have friends that disagree with you. Because like when you are building a company, I have a friend that I will just call him LS. He will recognize himself. And that friend is very important because it's someone, when I started the company, I can call him every day, any time that I want. So when you have a friend, and sometimes I call him and I think that I'm right, and he's telling me, nah. So it's very important to have someone that can tell you where you should look. Things that you do, sometimes you are saying, I can delay. And having people that will have the negative voice. And also we have an advisor from a VC. We have two advisors, so Jed and Adam. So they are investors in our company from Antler. They help us to see things that we were missing at the beginning of the journey. And they've been fantastic for us. They give us our first check.
There you go.
So that was really cool. But I'm not doing the advertisement for them because of the first check. I'm doing the advertisement I'm talking about those two guys because when we pitched the idea to them, they were brutal about why the client, go back, fact check, come back with clients feedback saying that you are correct. So we had to prove to them that what we are talking about there was like a niche in the market to go there. And so, what is good, they never left the journey. So they always been part of things. So that's
all the way
cool.
through. I love that sort of detachment, the ability to look outside and look in and give you the view. And so I could be talking to you for days about all this thing, and I guess that you could be talking about it for days as well. I love that fact that despite as you said, you've learned an awful lot. You go back in there and you come from this very sort of secure and easy not easy, but it's a very secure lifestyle to moving into something there which is dynamic and challenging and exciting, and the amount you learn in that sort of journey, and as you say, the hats you wear and the sort of lows of 50 no's in a day to then having those sort of breakthroughs. It's a absolutely incredible journey, and I've got no doubt that the rest of it is going to be fantastic for you as well. So thanks so much for coming in and talking about it. One last thing before we go, if someone's out there and listening to this and recognizing some of these problems in their system and wanting to get that advantage and take things further forward, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
DM me. I'm on LinkedIn.
Well, we should tag you in all the way through. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in there.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for joining
much.
us. And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.